Parents secretly charged $115,000 on my credit card for my sister's Europe trip, so I reported it as fraud, leading to major family fallout. Though I never imagined I would be producing an article like this, here I am, still in shock and bewilderment over what my parents have done. Alex, 28, has a younger sister, Emma, 2F, who recently graduated from college. Although our parents have always been, let's say, fascinating in their style of raising their children, this most recent act infuriates me. For background, I have always been the family's responsible one. After working hard in school, I applied for scholarships and, straight out of college, earned a decent position in finance. Since I was 22, I have been financially independent. I am glad of what I have done. Emma, on the other hand, has always been the family's young darling. I love my sister, so don't get me wrong, yet our parents have clearly pampered her. Emma was always obviously the favorite growing up. She was never forced to work a part-time job or help with housework. She acquired the newest appliances and outfits. Focusing on my own objectives and future, I tried not to let it disturb me too much. Nevertheless, occasionally the partiality was difficult to overlook. One specific event came to me when Emma was 10 and I was 16. Months of saving had gone into a new gaming system purchase. Excitedly telling my parents I was heading to the store to buy it the day I at last had enough money, they answered shockingly, "Oh, we already got one for Emma last week. You are welcome to share hers." Though I was heartbroken, I tried to be happy for my sister and stash my disappointment. Still forward swiftly toward the present, Emma recently finished with a degree in communications. She worked hard and deserves to celebrate her accomplishment. Hence, I am actually proud of her. I also gave her a beautiful graduation present, a new laptop she had been coveting. I heard from my mother last week. She was bursting with enthusiasm, sharing with me Emma's ideal graduation present, a month-long trip throughout Europe. Thinking Emma's gift from our parents was a kind one. I was pleased for her. The shocking revelation then came. "We used your credit card to book it all," my mother remarked dismissively, as though it were the most natural thing in the world. "We needed the points from your card to upgrade some of the flights and hotels. Thus we will pay you back naturally." I had no words. What I was hearing defied belief. When I finally recovered my voice, I inquired about their expenditure. The response made me feel as though I had been pummeled in the gut. $155,000. $155. Zero on my credit card without authorization or knowledge. Trying to keep my voice steady, I said, "Mom," I continued, "you cannot just use my credit card without asking me. That's illegal. $155. Zero is a lot of money." She discounts my worries. "Oh, Alex, be not too theatrical. It relates to the graduation of your sister. Family looks out for one another. Beyond that, we're good for it. Eventually, we will pay you back." Finally, even then, what did that mean? And because $155,000 is just casual about when my mother wasn't hearing it, when I attempted to explain to her why this was such a big deal, the effect on my credit score, the fact that I might need the credit limit for emergencies, the pure betrayal of trust. "You have always been so selfish," she remarked, her voice going icy. "Could you simply be glad for your sister? This is her big moment. Your penny-pinching habits are trying to destroy it." What I was hearing defied belief. For complaining about an illegal $155,000 transaction on my credit card, I was seen as selfish. I hung up the call feeling a mixture of hurt, wrath, and incredulity. I tried to talk to my dad over the next few days, expecting he would be more reasonable, but he confirmed what my mother had said, that I was exaggerating and I should encourage my sister more. Emma, for her part, appeared completely blind to the circumstances. She simply gushed about how thrilled she was about the trip and thanked me for helping her to graduate. When I tried to discuss it with her, I thought I was insane. Was I indeed the irrational one present to contest the charges? I decided to phone the credit card company. However, to my astonishment, I found that my parents had booked everything online using my card details, which they had in case of an emergency. The credit card company said that it wasn't deemed fraud as I had provided them with my details. I now have a $115,000 debt, a maxed-out credit card, and a family who believes I'm being self-serving for not wanting to pay for my sister's expensive trip. The individuals who are meant to love and encourage me have betrayed me, hurt, and angered me. What to do eludes me, though I know that would cause great family strife. Part of me wants to call off the entire vacation. Another side of me wants to simply pay it off to save the drama. But $115, zero is a lot of money, and the idea of the thing truly disturbs me. Furthermore, allowing this fall could set a standard for more financial mistreatment going forward. Is my reaction too strong? Should I just swallow it and pay for my sister's vacation? Or should I stick to it, even if it means maybe souring ties with my family? I could really use some guidance. I feel lost. Update 1. I appreciate all of your advice and encouraging words. The sheer reaction to my post really startled me. Reviewing your responses helped me to see that my anger over this scenario was not insane. I felt violated. Considering your counsel, I decided to proceed. I first escalated the problem by phoning my credit card provider once more. I detailed the circumstances, stressing that although my parents had my card information for an emergency, I had never approved this particular use. Following some backoff, they decided to look at the charges as possible fraud. I then asked for a family Zoom call to go over the matter and texted Emma and my parents groupwise. Before acting more forcefully, I wanted to let them have an opportunity to write this. The call was at least mildly intense. I began gently outlining why their acts were unacceptable, the legal ramifications, the mistrust, and the financial burden it placed on me. I informed them they had to immediately cancel the vacation since I had reported the charges as fraudulent. The response of my parents did not reflect what I had hoped. They were outraged, accusing me of being dramatic and seeking to spoil Emma's graduation party. My mother went so far as to add, "We raised you, clothed you, and covered your head with a roof. The least you could do is assist your sister in having a lifetime of travel." I inhaled deeply and answered, "You decided to have children. Your obligation as parents was to support us. It does not mean you are free to use credit cards under my identity." Emma, who had been calm up until now, started crying. She wailed, "I can't believe you're trying to ruin my graduation gift. You have always harbored envy of me. Why can't you simply be glad for me?" Once, her comments stung, but they also sharpened my will. I knew this pattern of entitlement and favoritism ran deep, and it was time to create some clear limits. "Emma," I continued, trying to keep my voice soft but strong, "I'm glad for you, and I'm proud of your graduation. But this vacation was booked illegally with money taken without permission. It's not okay, and it's not a gift from me." At last, my normally quiet dad spoke up. "Son, we didn't think it was such a big deal. For crises, we have always had access to your card as a family. We simply reasoned that this one occasion would be acceptable." What I was hearing defied belief. "Dad, this was not an emergency, and $155,000 is not a small sum. You cannot only choose to spend my money without consulting me." Emma was crying. My parents were furious, and I felt exhausted but determined. When the call finished, insisting that I was overreacting and that they would reimburse me shortly, they refused to call off the trip. Following the conference, I moved forward. I told a buddy of mine, a lawyer, the circumstances. He cautioned me that should I decide to take legal action, what my parents did was, in fact, illegal, and grounds for legal action exist. I also reported the illegal credit card use by going to the police station. The officer I spoke with took down all the specifics and was sympathetic. He advised me that although pressing charges would probably cause a significant divide in my family, I was quite within my rights to do so. About what to do going forward, I'm still divided. I adore my family on one hand, yet I get nauseous thinking about suing them. Conversely, their behavior is inappropriate. Hence, if I do not act strongly right now, this kind of behavior may resurface in the future. I have chosen to wait and see for now what results from the credit card company's inquiry to stop any more illegal usage of my information. I also froze my credit. This whole scenario has let me know I had to set more rigid rules for my family. Though I've always attempted to be the peacekeeper that is, to straighten things out and maintain everyone's happiness, I have let myself be repeatedly exploited in doing so. Though I'm hurt and outraged, I also feel an odd sort of empowerment. I'm standing up for myself and saying, no, this is unacceptable. For the first time, though unpleasant and frightening, it also seems vital. Again, thanks all for your support and guidance. Once I have more updates on the credit card inquiry, or if anything else comes of course with my family, I will update once more. Update 2. My previous update was several weeks ago, and a lot has transpired. I wish to thank them once more for their help and guidance. Your remarks have been a lighthouse through this trying period. First, the good news. My credit card company's inquiry came back positive. They reversed the charges since they agreed they were illegal. Having that $115,000 weight off of my shoulders relieves a great deal. Now, let's consider familial fallout. All hell exploded when my parents and Emma discovered the credit card dispute had caused the trip to be canceled. Furious calls and texts swamped my phone, saying I had destroyed Emma's life. My mother left an especially angry message labeling me a selfish, unappreciative son. Emma went to social media and shared a moving video about how her spiteful brother had ruined her dream graduation trip. A few of our shared friends and relatives began contacting me to find out why I was treating my younger sister so badly. The matter was spiraling out of control, and I knew I had to straighten the record. I posted a calm, objective piece outlining what had actually happened, how my card had been used without my consent, and how I had tried to mend things with my family prior to acting with the credit card company. The reaction to my post was uneven. Some were encouraging, expressing dismay at the behavior of my parents. Others felt I ought to have just taken one for the team and let Emma travel. Finding out how many others felt it acceptable to conduct fraud as long as it was for the family opened eyes. A few days following my post, my mother's sister called me unexpectedly. She offered some family history I hadn't learned before and showed understanding of my circumstances. My mother apparently had a history of financial irresponsibility and has in the past taken advantage of family members. My aunt gave me her support and urged me to be firm. Talking with my aunt helped me to see that the problem went beyond one occurrence. Years of enabled and excused behavior had set a habit of behavior. I understood then that I had to keep strict limits, not only for my own benefit, but also to stop the cycle of financial mistreatment. I made the decision to go really big for the foreseeable future. I informed my parents I would be not interacting with them at all. I said I couldn't trust them right now and I needed time to sort through what had happened. Emma also heard me say that although I loved her and felt good about her accomplishments, I wanted some distance from her too. Their responses were almost always unfavorable. My parents charged me with severing the family. Emma sobbed and stated I was punishing her for something outside her control. Though difficult, I stayed to be sure of my choice. Amid all this family turmoil, I have been especially focused on shielding myself against potential financial mistreatment. I replaced all of my passwords, closed the credit card my parents had access to, and opened a fresh one at another bank. To work through my emotions about the circumstances and create better limits, I have also begun visiting a therapist. One unanticipated benefit of this whole process is that it has brought me closer to a few relatives and my aunt, who contacted me to provide encouragement, knowing that not every member of my family finds what my parents did acceptable is good. Regarding Emma's graduation vacation, I learned via the family grapevine that her parents are still considering sending her someplace, though I keep reminding myself that it wasn't my obligation to offer that, for her part. Part of me feels bad about her missing the Europe vacation. I still find myself battling doubt and remorse. Sometimes I worry whether I did the right thing or too hard, but then I remember the violation I felt when I found out what they had done, and I know I made the correct decision in speaking out for myself, though it's a painful wake-up call. This event has also been a valuable lesson in self-respect and establishing limitations. I'm finding that love shouldn't have a price tag and that saying no, even to family, is okay. Again, I appreciate your support. For now, I'm concentrating on mending and moving forward. I will post should there be any noteworthy changes. Update 3. My last update was almost 2 months ago. Hence, I wanted to let you all know some advancements over this trying period. Your ongoing support and guidance has been priceless. Let us start with the most urgent matter, the legal one. Following much thought and legal advice, I opted against charging my parents. This wasn't a simple choice, and I know many of you suggested I file a lawsuit. My attorney noted, though, that since the credit card company had reversed the charges, going for a criminal prosecution would be difficult and may be expensive without any assurance of victory. Rather, we have formally written my parents a cease and desist letter, telling them that any future use of my financial data will cause instant legal action. Now, on the family matter, the no-contact period with Emma and my parents has been instructive and difficult at once. It allows me time to consider our family dynamics and concentrate on myself. Having regularly attended therapy, which has been quite beneficial in helping me to process my emotions and create better limits, about 1 month into the no-contact period, Emma sent me an uninvited email. Unlike her earlier crying claims, this email was refreshingly adult. She said she had given it much thought and came to see how mistaken our parents' behavior was. She felt bad about her first response and about not defending me. Emma said she had always known about the favoritism, but had been too comfortable and afraid to question it. Though I was cautiously hopeful by Emma's email, I decided to go gently. Since then, we have had a few phone calls. From what I can see, she is actually attempting to grasp my viewpoint. She had earlier kept to herself some of her own experiences with our parents' financial carelessness. The aborted Europe trip seemed to be a wake-up call for her as well. Regarding my parents, they have been less ready to take accountability. From guilt-tripping emails to enraged voicemails, they have tried multiple times to reach me. One day, my mother even showed up at my apartment without warning, creating quite a disturbance in the corridor. Though it was tough, I stayed my ground and avoided interacting. The extended family dynamics have been conflicted. Some families have been encouraging, especially my aunt, who first got in touch. She is now a great friend and ally. Others, using the but their family justification, nevertheless encourage me to reconcile with my parents for my own mental peace. I have had to cut ties to some of these cousins, positively, nonetheless. This circumstance has resulted in some unanticipated personal development. Spending the time and effort I used to manage the drama in my family has helped me to concentrate more on my own life and aspirations. I have started a new pastime, photography, and have been spending more time with pals that honor my limits. I have also made some really important financial choices. I started establishing a stronger emergency fund and have been more generous to my retirement funds. The value of financial freedom and stability has been really emphasized by this whole experience. Last week brought one especially fulfilling event at work. I got a promotion, accompanied by a significant wage raise. I might have felt obliged in the past to tell my family this news and the money gained, but this time I celebrated privately with a small group of close friends, glad of my achievements, free from guilt or obligation to share. Regarding Emma's graduation vacation, my aunt told me our parents ultimately sent her on a 2E California tour. Emma apparently had fun with it. Looking ahead, I'm somewhat hopeful, but yet wary. I have chosen to keep my parents under no contact for at least 3 more months. I need more time to recover and evaluate whether they can honor my limits. Emma allows me to gently restore our friendship, but I'm moving carefully and keeping clear limits. This encounter has really helped me to learn about the real meaning of family. Standing up for myself and establishing limits. Family, I've come to see, about love, respect, and support as much as blood ties. The friends and relatives who have supported me during this struggle have shown me what actual family entails, about financial freedom. I have also gained a useful insight. Although I have always been frugal with money, this scenario has made me especially more alert on all of my accounts. I have added extra security measures. I have also become more aggressive in safeguarding my financial data, even from relatives, particularly during family gatherings I missed because of the no-contact policy. There have been times of uncertainty and grief. Mother's Day proved especially challenging, but I remind myself that my mental health and personal development depend on this distance. One unanticipated result of this is that I have started to be really helpful to friends handling personal family financial problems. Many people have come to me seeking guidance on establishing limits and handling financially reckless family members. Being able to guide others through the same circumstances makes one feel wonderful. Regarding my parents' financial circumstances, my aunt has told me they are having trouble. Apparently, they had been depending on my credit for purposes beyond Emma's vacation. This has caused some conflict between them, since my dad holds my mom responsible for pushing too far with a credit card theft. Though part of me feels bad knowing they are facing money problems, I tell myself that their bad financial choices are not my duty to correct. Emma has offered some observations on how our parents responded to all of this. She adds, "They still don't really know why I responded so passionately. They can't understand why I'm making such a big deal out of it. They view their activities as natural family behavior. This ignorance irritates me, but it also helps me to realize that I made the correct choice in separating myself." After much thought on my early years and early adulthood, I came to see trends of financial and emotional control I had accepted. Though it's been a difficult journey, it also releases something I'm learning to validate my own emotions and experiences apart from parental approval. Regarding my personal life, I have lately started dating once more. Dealing with all this familial drama, I had been reluctant to interact with anyone, but lately, I came across someone who has been rather sympathetic about my circumstances, though early days. It feels fantastic to be developing a relationship with someone who upholds my values and limits. I'm also thinking about drastically altering my life. Though I have always wanted a master's degree, I put it off somewhat because of worries about how it would affect my capacity to support my family financially. I'm now really researching programs and thinking about diving in. Making decisions grounded just on what's best for my future and me feels empowering. I find, as I draft this update, how much has changed in a few months. The first shock and resentment had subsided, to be replaced by a cool determination. I'm actively building the life I want for myself, not only responding to the behavior of my family. To those of you perhaps handling such familial problems, I want to say it gets better. Although setting limits is difficult and there can be reactions, keep firm. Your rights include those to guard your mental health, money, and personal belongings. Again, I appreciate all of your support on this trip. Your guidance and support have been a lifesaver. Though I'm not sure what the future holds for my connection with my sister and parents, I know I will be fine whatever comes of it. Right now, I am stronger, more certain of myself, and ready to meet whatever lies ahead. If there are any major changes, I will notify once more. For now, I am focused on forward-looking and creating the life I want, surrounded by supportive people here. Wisdom earned and fresh starts. Update 4. My last update was 6 months ago, and I felt it was time to let all of you who have been so encouraging over this path know the most recent developments. First, the most news. I have been accepted into a master's program in a city 3 hours from where I presently live. This 2-year financial technology program fits very nicely with my professional objectives. Starting this fall, I am equal in excitement and anxiety about this new phase of my life. Choosing to work for this degree was not simple. It involves quitting my career, relocating to a new place, and starting some student debt, but it also means making investments in my future in the manner I've always wanted. I came to see that I had been holding back, constantly weighing how my choices might affect my family. It seems quite freeing to now be choosing based on what would be best for me. Regarding my family, things have changed in ways I never would have predicted. 2 months ago, the no-contact period with my parents formally came to an end. I agreed to a family therapy session, run under the direction of a professional therapist. It was quite strong defensively. Still believing they had done nothing wrong, my parents arrived, but as the session went on, some shockingly real facts emerged. My dad had hidden from everyone, including my mom, a large loss of money from a poor investment. For months, they had been covertly struggling financially, and they looked to my credit card to keep appearances. Many tears and accusations followed. From this insight, my dad felt guilty of his bad financial choices. My mom felt deceived by his silence, and both of them, at once, seemed to realize the weight of what they had done to me. Although this justification does not absolve their behavior, it did enable me to see the desperation driving their bad decisions. The therapist guided us through some of these problems, and for the first time, both of my parents sincerely apologized. Monthly family therapy sessions are going to continue under our agreement, though I'm still keeping strict limits, and it's a gradual process. I feel cautiously hopeful about reconstructing our connection on better terms. Emma has kept developing and maturing. She moved into her own apartment and started working full-time in order to reach financial independence. Our conversations have become more frequent, and I feel as though I am first starting to know my sister as an adult. She has even sought guidance on saving and budgeting, which is a major advancement in our relationship. Personally, the relationship I highlighted in my last update has evolved into something unique. Though it means we will be doing long distance for a period, Sarah has been quite encouraging of my choice to return to school. Her own experiences with establishing limits with family have made her a great source of insight and encouragement. Financially, I am in good shape. Thanks to the encouragement I got, I was able to somewhat offset the expenses of graduate school and save a sizable sum for my move. I have also started to defend my financial data far more aggressively. I recently had to turn down an attempt by a distant relative to guilt me into co-signing a loan. Though it wasn't easy, I stood my ground and felt good about imposing limits. I've been thinking about how much has changed since that first startling phone call from my mother concerning the credit card charges. As I get ready for this next phase of my life, the hurt and resentment have mostly disappeared. Instead, I now feel empowerment and self-assurance I never realized I had. This process has taught me so much, even and especially with family. I now see the value of establishing and upholding limits. True family, whether related by blood or by choice, promotes your development and respects your boundaries. I have come to see that it is okay to give my own well-being and future top priority. Thank you to everyone who has tracked my narrative and provided encouragement and guidance along the road during some quite trying circumstances. Your words have been a lighthouse of strength and clarity. To anyone who might be experiencing similar family conflicts, know that it is possible to emerge on the other side wiser and stronger. I am excited and full of possibilities as I pack my flat and get ready for this new journey. Not something I have felt in years. I'm glad of how far I have gone, and I am excited about what the future presents. I'll be busy with my move and starting school. Hence, I might not update again for some time. Nonetheless, I will always be appreciative of the help I have gotten here. Here are fresh starts, acquired knowledge, and the bravery to design the life we wish for. Personally, my sister sabotaged my wedding, and now, with her struggles to conceive, My parents want her to share my baby. As a little background, my sister Pam, 30F, persuaded our parents and a few of our family members not to come to my wedding. She believed it was inappropriate for me to marry her while she was divorcing. She turned to lying and spreading rumors to get people to avoid me because the truth alone wasn't enough to make them hate me. My spouse and I recently shared on social media that I'm currently in my second trimester of pregnancy. I am 27F. My parents and Pam learned about it in this way. And we had not spoken for over 3 years. They tried to mend things with me. Why? Pam is sadly unable to conceive due to her infertility. Despite the fact that she has failed multiple IVF cycles, she is adamant about trying again. Pam does not believe that surrogacy or adoption are the best options for her at this time, since I'm expecting a child. My parents thought it would be beneficial to make amends with Pam so she could spend time with a child who is not directly linked to her. They even suggested that the child have 2 mothers, saying that this would benefit me because I would receive more assistance. My parents really only want to pretend to be a happy family now that Pam is unable to have children of her own. During the call, I was able to see through their phony politeness. I informed them that I would not accept this idea and that it was completely irrational to expect me to comply. To be honest, it was ridiculous that they even believed I would think about letting Pam act as the mother of my future child. I clarified that they shouldn't have done it because I was expecting a baby and they wanted to give Pam a plaything, but rather because they truly loved me and were sorry for how they treated me. They took issue at what I said, claiming that Pam was prepared to volunteer for her future niece or nephew and that they were just providing assistance because they knew I would require assistance when the kid was born. They said I was being too harsh and that it was all perfectly innocent. I replied that my husband and in-laws were already providing me with all the assistance I required because I was the mother. They should keep avoiding me in the future if it was easy for them to do so in the past. Here's where I might have gone too far. I suggested that Pam might not be able to conceive because she was a horrible person and wouldn't be a good mother. My parents, a few family members, and of course Pam herself sent me a ton of texts after that call. They all demanded that I should apologize to them, claiming that what I said was needless and unkind. I shouldn't kick people when they're already down, they say. The issue is that I can still clearly recall every event leading up to my wedding, and I harbor deep animosity toward Pam for her actions. I find it hard to feel bad about what I said. To put things in perspective, while I was organizing my wedding, Pam had already been married for 2 years. Prior to their marriage, she and her ex-husband had been dating for 3 years, and she had always understood his desire to live a childless life when they began talking about their future after a year of dating. It was among the first things she brought up to our parents, even though I was in the room at the time. They continued their chat as usual, acting as though I wasn't there. Another problem is that even as a child, Pam and I have never gotten along. She has always been the beloved daughter of our parents. When we were younger, we used to quarrel a lot, but eventually, we just learned to ignore one another. She therefore knew for a fact that she wanted children in the future, even if she was telling our parents that her ex-boyfriend preferred a childless existence. In the end, they agreed to bring up the subject again when they were married, and she hoped that by then he would have changed his mind. She tried to persuade him to have children, but he refused to change his views, and they started fighting a lot. She would frequently look very distraught at family gatherings and tell about how hard it was to stay with him all the time. Her decision to wed a man who had made it apparent that he didn't want children was, in my opinion, her fault. It was she who thought she could make him reconsider. However, she had no right to hold him responsible when she was unable to naturally. I kept all of this to myself since I knew it would just cause more problems. I tried to persuade him for a few months before my parents informed me that Pam had returned to live with them permanently following a heated argument with her husband. They told me there was no way out of it at this point. My spouse and I had just begun making deposits for our wedding. At this point, after almost 4 years of dating. We had been engaged for a few months. We had waited until we were both comfortable in our employment, even though we had been prepared for marriage for a while. My parents, therefore, told me that they wanted me to put off my wedding forever. When they told me that Pam and her husband were going to divorce, they didn't want me to marry Pam at the same time she was divorcing in order to offend her. They said that Pam already had it difficult because she had to postpone her intentions to have a baby. They said that I should not go forward with my wedding in order to spare her feelings because she truly wanted to become a mother. It was likely the most ridiculous and inconsiderate thing they had ever tried to get me to do. I informed them, of course, that I would not delay my wedding for Pam, whether she liked it or not. I was going to marry. Since we were never close, I didn't care what she thought about my wedding. But my choice did not sit well with my parents. They were upset because I wasn't prepared to put their beloved daughter's sentiments ahead of my own wedding arrangements. They warned me that they wouldn't go if I didn't postpone the wedding. I knew my parents had a soft spot for Pam, but I never imagined they would go to such lengths for her, so that was incredibly upsetting and devastating to me. Nevertheless, I accepted it and informed them that they may do as they pleased. Pam wasn't content, even though it should have been the end of it. She didn't like that I was getting married, so she made sure the rest of the family didn't come either. She initially only tried to win people over by saying that it was rude of me to get married while she was going through such a difficult period. Although the majority expressed sympathy for her, they did not specifically state that they would not attend my wedding. She made the decision to step it up after realizing this. She began spreading stories about me because the truth wasn't contentious enough. Pam started claiming that I had been persuading her husband to divorce her because I was envious of her and couldn't bear the idea of her having a child before me. I had never been friends with her spouse, so the allegations were ridiculous. If he and I had ever gotten close, I genuinely doubt Pam would have married him at all. People began to believe her, though, for some reason, she even claimed that I had been bothering her by convincing her spouse that he would be happier without her and manipulating him to leave her. Pam claims that I was to blame for his lack of desire for children since I had reportedly persuaded him that having no children was the way to go for our generation. All of it was false. I assume she lied so firmly that others started to believe her. Even though I hadn't really engaged with my brother-in-law when he was married to Pam, many folks turned down my wedding invites. A couple of my supportive cousins and other family members told me about Pam's comments, so I already knew why. I wasn't shocked to learn that no one provided me with a detailed explanation for their refusal. Only a few relatives and a few individuals from my side of the family came to my wedding. Everyone else was either a friend or a co-worker. On the bride's side, the attendance was dreadfully poor. In the weeks before the wedding, I recall being really furious about all of this. Many individuals had already made up their minds, and some had even blocked me. But I knew I could try talking to them and being honest. I didn't bother because it would have been my word against hers. Fortunately, my spouse, friends, and in-laws were there to support me on the wedding day. I barely noticed that so many of my family members were present because they made sure I had so much fun. I haven't forgiven Pam for what she did, though, simply because I had a good time on my wedding day. She was vengeful and vicious in what she did. She made sure I wasn't happy just because she didn't get her way, which was quite typical of her. She had been like that since she was a child, but most people get over those habits, especially by the time they are in their late 20s. Regretfully, I am unable to say the same for her. I cut her and my parents off entirely after that incident, and my animosity toward them only deepened. I saw Pam's ex-husband for the first time since their divorce around a year later. One day, while my husband and I were out to lunch, we noticed him eating with some of his co-workers. We weren't expecting him to greet us, so it was a little awkward, but he approached our table, congratulated us on our wedding, and expressed regret for not being there. He clarified that it was because of my sister's predicament. We were also courteous because he was chit-chatting, and my husband even made a joke about how he might as well have come because Pam didn't show up. Pam's ex-husband then appeared truly perplexed. At that point, we began discussing the events leading up to the wedding. He revealed how Pam had repeatedly postponed the mediation sessions and postponed the divorce by claiming she was too preoccupied with getting ready for my wedding. When her ex-husband learned she hadn't even gone, he became perplexed. Her sudden interest in my wedding had surprised him, but he had refrained from confronting her because he didn't want to accuse her of postponing the divorce out of fear. He just dealt with everything as calmly as he could. We discussed the facts after he gave us his version of events, which included Pam's failure to attend the wedding, her spreading false information about me, and her accusation that I was attempting to end her marriage. After expressing his shock that Pam would act in such a manner, he revealed the true cause of their split. It was a far deeper issue than a dispute over having kids. After months of arguments about whether or not to have children, her ex-husband finally began to take her point of view into consideration and was on the verge of changing his mind. She told him something that made all the difference. The day he made the decision to talk to her about it, she appeared ecstatic when he informed her that he was at last prepared to think about being a parent. Then, in what she believed to be a jest, she said that he would have had to accept it sooner rather than later, even if he hadn't been prepared. She acknowledged that she had surreptitiously stopped taking her birth control pills without him knowing. When he asked her to explain, she might have gotten pregnant if they had kept going that way. Making plans for him to simply deal with it, he was unable to accept this perverse scheme. She had deceived us into believing that their disagreements were solely about having children, but in reality, their most recent dispute had been about her treachery. Pam made an effort to make it seem lighthearted, but it didn't make her actions any less serious. In essence, she was attempting to trick him into becoming pregnant so that he would be forced to accept the pregnancy at any time. My husband and I were more clear on why she had behaved so erratically around the time of our wedding. After that talk with her ex-husband, she was aware that she was to blame for her divorce. She could have kept it to herself, and none of this would have occurred. Even if she had taken the risky decision to stop taking her birth control, she may have even given birth to a child with her spouse. But she ruined everything for herself before venting her frustration on me. I became much more resentful of her after discovering all of this. I had the option of telling my parents and other family members the truth, but I decided against it. I had already severed my connections with people who hadn't been at my wedding by that point, and to be honest, I just wanted to get on with my life. I made the decision to remain silent and continue, but to be honest, I don't feel bad about what I said because I hate her so much. I genuinely think it's fortunate that she hasn't been able to have children because I don't think someone with her personality could be a decent mother. The fact that she and my parents only contacted me because I am pregnant and they wish to play happy family with my unborn child further bothers me. That simply will not occur. Regarding the notion of my child having two mothers, I concur with my in-laws and my spouse that it is not essential. People's reactions to my comment, especially those with whom I get along, are the only reason I'm even slightly unsure. So, am I the jerk for suggesting that my sister might not make a good mother, which is why she hasn't been able to conceive in response to inquiries? Pam has not remarried and, to the best of my knowledge, is not currently seeing anyone. Although I don't know much about her personal life, I've learned from friends and family that she is totally unmarried and that her primary goal at the moment is to have children. You can guess why she isn't interested in adopting a child or using a surrogate. In my opinion, it's because she feels that a child isn't truly your child unless you've given birth to it yourself. She has been trying for over 3 years, including when she tried to conceive with her spouse and when she used donors for IVF following the divorce. So far, nothing has worked for her. Most people would think about other choices by now, but she isn't interested, and that's her decision. The fact that she and my parents only tried to reconcile after I revealed my pregnancy is what truly seems odd. The remark about two mothers stuck with me, Additionally, you all observed that they made particular reference to the fact that this baby would be linked to her by blood. Technically speaking, my child would be her blood relative because she is my biological sister. However, bringing it up while trying to make amends is odd, and their action simply gave off a disturbing, almost baby stealer atmosphere. I'm afraid she'll start projecting and acting like the mother if I do try to forgive her and give her some contact with my child. I can't allow that to occur. Some of you have questioned why I haven't defended myself in front of the rest of the family or spoken out about the true cause of her divorce. In all honesty, I don't believe it's worth it. I became aware of my true friends and supporters after the wedding. Everything that transpired deeply wounded me, and even though I wanted to speak out about the truth, I decided against it. I wanted to be left alone. Even a few family members with whom I get along well said that I was a little callous when I told Pam that she couldn't have children. Although they don't expect me to apologize, they do believe it was a little too severe. These folks have always stood behind me, so that's why I'm worried. If they'd think I was too severe, then maybe I should be worried. Update 1. I appreciate all of the comments left on my post. I appreciate your support, even though it seems like most of you believe I'm NTA. I will continue to ignore Pam and my parents, and I have made the decision not to apologize to them. They are obviously unhappy about this on social media and in real life. They are acting like the victim and disparaging me in front of our family members once more. I already don't talk to those people, so I'm not bothered by it. What could possibly go wrong? They will further isolate me. I made the decision to talk to my family members that support me yet disagree with my remark and address it. Almost everyone in the family is aware of what happened and what I said, and Pam and my parents have made a big issue out of it. I reached out to people who truly care about me, since I won't engage with someone I don't get along with. I admitted to them that in the heat of the moment, I had uttered those things. However, that doesn't change the fact that Pam's deliberate attempt to draw attention to herself during my wedding was much worse. For years, Pam has been mean and disrespectful to me, and I won't say I'm sorry for something that might even be true. She won't be significantly impacted by my remark, at least not in the same manner that she did me when she created rumors because of what she said. My family declined to come to my wedding. It's not the same thing, because my viewpoint won't stop her from being pregnant. Those who were on my side are still supportive, and my relatives seem to understand this. I'm okay with them deciding not to talk about it anymore. All I want is for my pregnancy to be a joyful and healthy one. I hope this tension between Pam and my parents ends quickly. I don't want them to stretch this out because I might have to tell them some things they won't like. This is something I really don't want to deal with, especially now that I'm expecting. Update 2. My parents have been playing the victim and informing everyone in the family about what I said for the past 2 weeks. Since I last spoke to them on the phone, they have been pleading with others to avoid me, to never communicate with me again, and even to cut me off from family members that get along well with me. They basically want me shunned by the entire family. My parents haven't been successful in their strategy, though, because, as I indicated, I was able to work things out with the people I care about. They obviously didn't like it, so they posted disparaging remarks about me on social media. I am aware that the posts are about me, even if they haven't specifically mentioned me. They have been discussing a particular relative who has always tried to ruin lives and always been jealous of Pam. That's why I allegedly made fun of her infertility. They say I knew it was all lies. So, at first, I didn't care, but it really got to me when they recently posted that I was the one who destroyed Pam's marriage. I chose to reply, since they were repeating the same falsehoods they had told me around the time of my wedding. I made contact with my former brother-in-law. Even if we don't communicate frequently, we are on speaking terms because we still greet one another on holidays and on our birthdays. I told him everything that had been going on and asked if he would mind if I told the truth in public. I did what he told me to do, The drama has escalated since I wrote about Pam's actions and the true cause of their divorce. Although I haven't spoken to anyone directly, family members have been calling, texting, and emailing me to ask whether it's true, to ask me to remove the post, and even to accuse me of lying about Pam once more. None of them have received a response from me. My parents and Pam, on the other hand, have remained remarkably silent, which suggests that they have little to defend themselves. They'll find words. Though, I'm sure, even after all of this, it's disheartening that no one in the family has bothered to apologize to me. But it's okay since it's exactly what I anticipated. I believe I've been successful in exposing Pam for who she truly is, which was my major objective. I'm just going to relax and observe what happens next. Update 3. Pam and my parents finally contacted me a few days after my last post, stating that they were prepared to apologize, but only if I consented to have my post removed. The rest of the family hasn't expressed regret to me, but they seem to have contacted my parents and Pam to criticize their actions. They told my parents that it was unfair to portray me negatively when Pam was ultimately to blame for her divorce. My relationships with my parents have suffered greatly as a result of their years of deceiving the family. It's amazing how fast certain family members went from detesting me to betraying Pam. However, as I already stated, I don't hold it in high regard for those who assumed that I was the cause of Pam's marital issues. They're now equally eager to assume that she was at fault from the beginning. They still refuse to say sorry, and the majority of them have ceased getting in touch with me. No one is requesting me to remove the post, and no one is interested in knowing if I was speaking the truth. I replied to Pam and my parents that I would wait to remove the post until I felt like it. I don't care about their apologies anymore. I responded to their email correspondence and subsequently blocked them. They haven't made an attempt to get in touch with me since, but this morning, I made the decision to remove the post, not for them, but rather because I don't want my social media accounts to be overflowing with posts about unimportant people, retaliation, and beneficial. And as I mentioned, I want a pleasant and healthy pregnancy journey. Furthermore, I believe that's sufficient punishment for Pam and my parents because they are who they are. I have family and friends who truly care about me, and my spouse and I are content. I really only need that. It doesn't really matter what my sister and parents are doing these days. I hope they understand, after everything that has transpired, that I don't want to interact with them ever again and avoid me. That's all I have to say, and considering everything that has happened, I doubt they will get in touch anytime soon. I'm grateful to everyone who has helped me, answered my messages, and given me guidance. It is really important to me. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.